We get to see the
I should get on YouTube and make sure.
Hi, we're live. We're live with Brandon and Careena. Careena from Alexis Outdoors and Brandon and Careena from TimberMates. Their second newer channel, right?
Yeah.
That is growing really rapidly and doing really, really well. Can you guys introduce yourselves a little bit for anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm Careena. I've been running the channel Alexis Outdoors for quite a while now. And basically I just make camping videos, do some bushcraft, do some winter camping and kind of everything in between. And then recently Brandon and I started a channel together. And of course, Brandon's in my videos as well on Alexis Outdoors, but we started a channel together. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we started the channel together. I do tree work. I take down trees. I mill the wood that is left over from the trees that we take down, and we repurpose it, build things with it, interesting things like that. And so we started the channel because every time we take a tree down, you get like people in their lawn chairs watching, and we thought, you know what, people might like this. So she already had all the background into the editing and all the camera gear, knew what to do. So I'm a little bit newer. So our TimberMates channel is obviously very new. It's only, what, 6 months old?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
It's pretty new.
But it is doing very well, and so we're excited about that. And yeah, that's basically the gist of TimberMates.
Yeah, with more plans to take TimberMates to the next level,
which we'll probably get into.
We can get into that.
Yeah. So what does that look like?
So
basically we live on a river. I grew up on a river, and I've been tinkering with houseboats and built a few houseboats over my days. And so we have a project that we're working on right now, and it'll be released hopefully in the next few months. We're going to do a full start to finish build. We're working on the pontoons. We're welding the pontoons. We're going to be milling the wood for the boat. We're going to build a complete 52-foot houseboat, off-grid completely, but not like, how would I say? But not like roughing it, to be honest.
No,
it's more like
it's a house on pontoons.
Yeah, so everything inside will be just like you didn't even know you were on a boat. Okay. The other interesting thing about it, you have a picture?
Yeah. It's gonna look like this. This is when it's not in the water, of course.
That's so cool. I love how you have the front deck on it.
Right.
Oh, it's crucial.
Does it have a? Can you get up on the roof and like jump off of it too? Because that.
Oh yeah. If you have the nerve to do it.
Crucial.
Yeah, it's about 10 feet off the water to the top of the roof, so it's not like a crazy high jump, but you know, it's enough when you're looking down. You got like a second between you got to think about when you're falling.
Yeah.
The part. Can you talk about the like struts that lifted up out of the water?
Yeah. So this is the interesting part about this boat, because you know there's a lot of houseboats out there, and there's a lot of off-grid stuff. The cool thing about this one, which is unique, is that there's actual hydraulic legs that are formed into the pontoons and are powered by solar, which power 12-volt hydraulic pumps, which push these legs down into the water and lift the boat right out of it, which means that if you get motion sick or even just the fatigue of your entire, like if it's a windy day or there's a lot of boats around, and the fatigue of like your kitchen in your living room doing this all day it's tough, even if you don't get motion sickness. So with this, you don't need any ropes to tie down. You will never move, and you can lift yourself up out of the water and you're rock solid. You do not move. It's like basically more like a villa or a cottage on stilts, but on the water, not on the shore. And you can move anywhere you want. And that's kind of the interesting thing about this boat.
I kind of imagine it like a better version of what they have on the back of bass boats, where the anchor like goes out and floats down into the ground.
Exactly. The equivalent would be if you could go to with your bass boat and lift your entire boat up off the water so you do not move and you're rock solid. That would be the equivalent.
Is this something you came up with, or was it a thing prior?
No, this is something I came up with. I was stuck in a hospital room for 2 weeks, and I was trying to solve this problem of the fatigue of the boat rocking all the time. And so there was a bunch of different designs I came up with, and did a lot of looking up the strength of beams and different systems for how these legs are going to come out. And anyway, basically came up with, I had a couple ideas, but this one was to actually have the legs built into the pontoons so that it's not something that drags in the water, because otherwise you'd need 2 cylinders, one to move it straight down, because you don't want it dragging, and then one to extend. Then the other problem you have is you can't have hydraulic cylinders underwater for any length of time before they would just fail. So yeah, this design, and I built a boat for my dad. It was the first test, and it's been in the water for 3 years now. No issues at all. He can lift it right out of the water. He loves it. He was the guinea pig on this one. I said, I'll do it. You pay for the materials and I'll do it for you. And it was a bit of like a cross your fingers, but I did a lot of math on it. There's a lot more to doing this than meets the eye. Like there's a lot more technical things about the hydraulic pressures and how do you make sure all your weight's on the equal legs and how do you not just sink down. There's a lot to it, but we will get into that when we do the build process, and we'll explain all of it if anyone's interested in that. Well as the off-grid.
Yes. Yeah, TimberMate's going to be a real step-by-step video process of building it. And then at the end, we'll probably do like a big time lapse and kind of an overlook. And then, we're really excited. It's going to be really fun.
With Alexis Outdoors, are you going to keep rolling with the same sort of like bushcraft stuff, or what might, I don't know, like what's coming down the pike with that?
Yeah. So Alexis Outdoors, I really, really enjoy, canoe camping. That's like a passion of mine, as well as the bushcraft stuff. So I'm always going to do some of that. But I also want to think of ways that I can expand Alexis Outdoors a little bit and start doing some other things. I want to do a lot more with my hot tent. I do some winter hot tent camping and stuff like that. So it opens up a lot. Pardon me?
What kind of hot tent do you guys have?
So we have an Esker hot tent. It's 10 by 10. Okay. And we have like a little wood stove that goes inside it and keeps it pretty warm and like pretty cold temperatures. Although I'm sure just like the Scamp, like when it gets pretty cold, you're like stoking it every
hour.
Yeah, at least every hour if it's cold enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what do you want
I'm sure it's pretty similar to you guys living in the Scamp.
It's what?
I'm sure the hot tenting and stuff is really similar to what you guys do, just living in this camp every day. So
yeah, thankfully, since we insulated the underside a couple years ago, it's been
made a huge difference. That was only 1 year ago. We only had one winter with that insulation.
Yeah, and it was like night and day difference, because last winter was the coldest temps, like -16 Fahrenheit. So do the math. I don't know.
Wow.
Pretty cold.
Yeah,
but cool. It was, no worries for us.
We've camped in Brian's tent, off-grid backcountry adventures, his winter tent.
Yeah,
that is pretty wild to.
Well, we didn't know what we were doing.
No,
because with wood stoves, it takes like a lot of use to get it to where you kind of get it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah, airflow. Stuff you're burning, how long it lasts. Crazy.
Yeah. Like different wood types. What kind of wood do you guys get up there? Do you get oak and hardwoods, or?
We don't have a lot, like this area. We don't have a lot of oaks, but closer to like Toronto area, lots of oak up there. A little more south than we are. We have lots of pines, but we do have quite a bit of maple here. That's pretty much the bulk of our hardwood, and that's mostly what people burn around here.
Okay. Brian's actually in the chat right now, so we'll get together and do some winter camping with him when he gets back up here.
Gosh, I wish that the borders weren't having issues right now, or that we could more easily come to Canada and you guys could come here.
Yeah,
it'd be so rad to have your wood experience and lumber and everything to help us build.
Yeah, we'd love. Looks like that might get sorted out mid-November.
Really?
Cool. Yeah. So we'll see you guys late November then. That would work.
I think mid-November they said the land borders are opening up, and I think we're good to go if we can find the time to get down there. We'd love to.
Yeah, it'd be super fun.
Because you were just saying that you guys have a lot coming up with TimberMates with your tree business. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my busy time from now until like we have sustained snow. I have to work pretty steady just to get everything done.
Just to kind of get trees ready for snow loads, or?
It's mostly just dead trees that are people want down before the winter, mostly. And then I've got the town. Like I live in a small town, and I've done they put like a big tender out every year where they have like 20 trees or 40 trees they need to get down, and so I'm working on that right now to get ready for them. And there's always something. This is my busy time. And then after the snow flies mid-December, that's it. I'm off for a bit. Well, we're off for a bit.
That's my
Cool.
time to shine.
Yeah.
My channel kind of
That's
picks
when
up
she
a bit
picks up. So
then,
that's our schedules actually really complement each other.
Because your
Yeah.
winter camping videos have always been your most popular,
Yeah.
Careena.
Oh, yeah. For the most
that's
part, there's a lot of the
kind of
bushcraft stuff's pretty popular as well. But yeah, I think people are just fascinated by snow, honestly. So they always tend to do better. And I think more people are inside that time of year, so they're watching
Right.
more. So.
I just think personally it's really wild to see a female go out solo, whether it's snowy or not, and camp overnight in the backcountry. So then to see you in the winter with all that snow with just your dog is
It's pretty
unreal.
epic.
We found you early on in this kind of lifestyle, and we were using some bushcraft kind of like, I don't know, not really. We were just interested in bushcraft
Well, we were just
because
making do with what we had. Like we made a
Yeah.
shelf out of
sticks.
sticks, and we were
I
just
remember
bushcrafting by necessity, I guess.
But found you because I don't think I'd ever seen any other female bushcrafters outside of you
I
at the
guess
time, at least.
what's her name? Survival Lily does
Oh, yeah.
some stuff too. She's
Mhm.
super cool.
Pretty hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. She cracks me up. What are like some of your favorite tools when you're doing a bushcraft video or just going out into the woods? Are there things that you just always bring with you?
Yeah, so over the years, I've tested out like a lot of knives and stuff, and I probably 2 years ago had a knife made just for me. It's called a puukko, which is basically the Finnish word for knife. So it's made in Finland. It's handmade, and it has a stacked birch bark handle, and I had it made to like exactly fit my hand, and it's just a small little knife. And most people who go out and do like bushcraft stuff have these big like monster knives, right? And so I started taking this little guy out and like an axe with me, and those two, like just that little knife is my favorite thing to take with me ever. So I'll always take that, and I always bring a fire steel because, well, it's like super bushcraft, like cliche, I guess.
Why not a lighter? Like
What?
Like why not a lighter versus
Because
a fire steel? Is it just cooler?
yeah, it's I find it more enjoyable, first of all, and second of all, a lighter will run out a lot faster. Not that I'm going out for like a crazy amount of days and stuff, but I just consider it really good practice to be able to start a fire like from a spark from a fire steel. Also, if it gets soaked, if you're out there in the rain or snow and you drop your lighter, it's not going to work for a little bit until it dries out. But a fire steel, you just wipe it off and it's good to go, like no matter what. So
Do you bring fire starters too of any kind?
no, we're blessed with having a lot of birch bark around here, and birch bark goes up like it has very flammable oils in it, and so even when birch bark is wet, if you fluff it up enough, it actually will catch a spark, which is pretty cool. And I try to practice with other materials too, but
You find a lot of chaga then, maybe up there on all your birch trees.
I
Have you
haven't
ever
found.
had
I've had a friend give me a lot of chaga before, and I was very grateful. I've never been able to find some myself. I think they say that once you find it the first time, you like will find it more because you know exactly what to look for. But like I actually had a video last winter I did, and there was a lot of horseshoe fungus on the birch tree that I was like, it was a super dead birch tree, and I was just harvesting the birch bark, and everyone was like, "Oh, you missed all that chaga. How could you miss all that?" I'm like, it's not chaga. It was just horseshoe fungus, but which
How
is
do you
also
tell
really
the difference?
the look of it is totally different. Horseshoe fungus literally looks like a horseshoe, and has like the rounded like or a horse hoof, I guess. And
Whereas chaga looks like a tumor almost, like it's
yeah, it looks like a burnt tumor, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all like charred and stuff. And when you cut it open, you see like they call it the yellow gold.
Is your knife like, is the blade of it at the back like pretty thick, or?
Yeah, I think it's 1/8 thick.
Okay.
It's pretty typical. You want a pretty strong blade out there.
And then what is the like angle of the blade itself? Yeah,
It's a Scandi grind. It's like a more traditional Scandi grind though, which is kind of a thicker grind. as opposed
And
to
that
just like a.
stands for Scandinavian grind, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
for interrupting, but
Oh, no problem. Yeah.
I'm
Is
just
there,
excited. I got
I know
lots of
you have
knife
good
questions.
questions.
I'm sorry.
You know more about this than I do. I have a lot to learn.
I feel like when we come visit you guys, we're gonna bring like a busload of stuff because I just want to like chat about gear constantly. I love geeking out with gear.
Yeah, us too. And then your axe or hatchet, is it like a full-size axe?
I have a full size and I have a smaller hatchet. And at first, I was all about the full size axe, which I normally am about. When I go winter camping, it's like full size axe all the time. Well, full size. I guess it's called a forest axe, so it's like somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it's funny because on my videos, people are like, "Get a hatchet, get a hatchet," and I'm like, "I don't. This thing's a workhorse, and you need that in the winter when you're splitting bigger logs and stuff." But yeah, for the summer trips, I'll take like a lighter hatchet along. It's been pretty handy. But yeah.
Is there anything that you, if people are looking for an axe or hatchet, is there anything that you suggest they, like attributes that they should look for?
Yeah, so a lot of the more higher end ones out there, well, everyone will tell you get a Grandsford's Brooks, which is like the highest, I don't know, the most popular, I guess, forest axe that most bushcrafters use. But I've been using well, first of all, I should start off with, I would highly suggest getting like something that's made in Sweden for the most part, like a Swedish steel. There's even some Finnish axes out there that are really good. But yeah, the Swedish steel is really, really good. And Husqvarna makes axes from Sweden, and they're really, really good quality. They're basically the same or similar to Grandsford's Brooks, but a lot cheaper because you're not paying for like fit and finish. So like, the head doesn't look as perfect sitting on the handle and stuff like that. So you're sacrificing a bit of that, but it doesn't even matter. You're putting it to work anyway. So.
And do you always go with a wood handle?
Yep. Yeah, I hate composite. I don't know if it's just like a thing that I have, but I don't like composite handles. I like a wood handle.
Did you get a new saw in the last year or two?
Maybe.
Probably.
Which one?
I feel like I don't know, I was watching one of your videos and you, I think, said that this was a brand new saw. And I was thinking also kind of like what you were just asking, what do you want in a saw? Because that is something that I just would never have any idea where to start with.
Yeah, that depends probably a lot on the situation. So if I'm going on a long distance canoe trip, I'll bring a smaller saw. And if you're cutting firewood, would be, like, depends what you're going to use it for. If you're cutting firewood, I prefer like a buck saw that you assemble. And you've probably seen my wooden buck saw, which is my favorite. So it takes some assembly required, but it's a workhorse, and I like the position my wrist is in. So if you're cutting a lot of firewood, you can go a little bit longer. And most people use the silky saws, though, which is just a fold-out saw. And I just don't like the position my wrist is in. But where those come in real handy is when you're clearing trail and stuff, when you can put two hands on it and just like saw down, logs that are across or whatever. So yeah, it really, really depends on the situation. But for firewood, for the most part, I like a good buck saw.
Brandon, you're a cutting utensils and saw nerd as well, so I'm sure you're just like,
oh, we have some discussions about this.
Do you guys argue about saw types and everything all the time?
All the time.
So this is where I stand. There's nothing wrong. If I'm going on a canoe trip, I'm not taking like a chainsaw with me, but I wish I could, because when I go with her and we've got this little thing and I'm like, this feels like work except 10 times slower. So I have a hard time. That's what I do all day, right? I'm just cutting wood all day. And then it's like, I have this little thing and I'm like, what? Why am I doing this?
Why am I using my muscles? This is stupid.
It feels very inefficient.
It is so funny.
We argue about this a little bit.
Yeah, well, like the difference, right? When you go from my channel to TimberMates, it's like, okay, she's like sitting there sawing wood for hours at a time, and he's just like ripping down massive trees in like an hour. Just like, it's crazy.
So yeah, we have...
Do you use electric chainsaws at all? There's that like taboo.
I have no. Sorry, which one are we?
No, I'm just curious. Either of you, yeah.
So I have a Husqvarna battery operated electric saw, and it's actually really good. They've come a long way. We've actually used it a little bit, like on a winter camping trip, just to kind of save some of the time because they're pretty light. Batteries last a long time. I use it for my tree work, but mostly just kind of beside the chipper for trimming stuff because you don't want to have to start a saw all the time. You need to trim something. So if you're hours and hours and hours going by of stuff being chipped, you don't want to have a saw running, and you don't have to start it every time. I also use it as a backup for like a top handle, like a single-handed saw. For myself, I prefer the gas one just because the speed that it cuts is not quite as fast as the gas. It's probably half the time. It's probably about half speed. So for me, I'm in a bit of a time crunch where I'm trying to make sure that I'm not just wasting everyone's time on the ground. Where I'm trying to make sure that I can get these pieces down and they're not just staring at me and stuff's not running needlessly. So I really like the electrics, and I definitely have used it to take trees down, but it's just a little bit slower than I would prefer. But it's pretty impressive what they can do.
It is really good to have it. Like normally I'm chipping, and when you have a piece that's just too big to go in, you can just quickly zing it up, and you're not starting a whole chainsaw. It's really handy for beside the chipper for the most part.
Yeah, there's a lot of functions it's actually really handy for because you can you pick it up and you're good to go, done.
Yeah.
So.
Really quick, I want to say thank you so much to Jan Garrett. That will probably go to some pooch treats. And there was a good question for Careena. Simply Living, Hannah, and Anil. Careena, curious to know if you've always been very outdoorsy or if it's something you got interested in later.
Yeah, Hannah and Anil, they have a great channel. They do van life stuff. It's really cool. They like travel to Sweden and stuff. But yeah, good question. I have pretty much always been outdoorsy. I grew up actually working with horses. So a lot of like more farm life stuff, but I always lived close to where I could get out into the woods. And so I always just kind of did that. When I was really young, we lived on a horse farm that was right near, like I called them mountains. They're not mountains compared to like places like Alberta and stuff like that. But I always like at the end of the day would just like run out and go as far as I could before the sun went down and just like climb to a little lookout or like find some stuff to put together for a fort. So I've always done stuff like that, like as a kid and as a younger person. And then, then I started getting into more bushcrafty stuff in my later years. But yeah, always outdoorsy for sure.
Can you say Husqvarna for us?
Husqvarna.
That sounds right to me. Are we saying it wrong?
Oh, maybe it's Husqvarna.
Husqvarna?
Maybe.
Oh, that was too German, I think.
I don't know how to say it.
What is that?
How do you say it? I think we should all take turns saying Husqvarna until we get this sorted out.
Yeah, I always just said Husqvarna, but
okay.
Yeah, that's
all right. Yeah.
Very American.
No.
I think
let's talk about you guys.
Yeah, it feels like this is a one-sided conversation.
Well, sorry, Brandon.
We're very interested in you.
I'm interested in your
guys'
hunting, Barron, that you're just getting into now. I find that so fascinating, and how you like, you have a light load up and like just disappear into the mountains and go hunting. Can you tell us how you got into that?
Quickly is how I got into it. No, I've been researching it for a long time just because I think that that's like the most ecological and clean way that we can source meat. And the more self-reliant we become, kind of the better we feel about ourselves and like our place out here, So we want to grow our own food and we want to grow our own food, but I think like procuring our own meat will be a big part of that. And I chose bow hunting specifically this year because the season is a month long, the bow hunting season in Colorado, and you can get an over-the-counter tag. So for mule deer, for example, you have to draw for the tag for several years or for a year, just depending on how good the unit is. Whereas with elk, you can draw tags too, but they have over-the-counter tags for like less desirable units. So the success rate on the over-the-counter tags is really low because it's hard, because there's hunting pressure and everything. But yeah, that's how I chose that. And I learned like infinite amounts. Whereas if I would have chose rifle this year, we would have had a higher chance of success probably. But there are a lot more people in the forest in rifle season. They call it the pumpkin patch because everybody's wearing orange. And the seasons are broken up into like week-long seasons. So everybody has to like blast off into the forest just for that 1 week.
Yeah.
So this year, Tyler and I spent like 20 plus days hunting, like full days. So I learned more than I would have learned maybe in like a decade of hunting otherwise, you know?
Oh,
Yeah, that's very interesting. Our friend Tunis, who's in the chat. Oh, sorry. I think our internet's
No, just big shout out to Tyler for because I don't know, I wouldn't have even gotten a chance to learn anything at all this year probably had it not been for him. So
yeah, no, I find that super fascinating, and I do agree, like having a more sustainable way of getting your own food and stuff definitely takes the pressure off grocery stores and things like that, and definitely is far more satisfying, which is kind of where we're trying to take TimberMates as well eventually. Yeah, eventually we'd like to have a little bit of our own homestead and stuff too, but that's quite a ways down the road. But
it takes time, right? As you guys know, it takes a lot of time to get to that point. But I love the idea of off-grid where you're not relying on any utility or anyone else. You can, growing your own food. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's so
being sustainable on your own. That's the way it's always been, right? So the way we live now is not very sustainable if it keeps going.
Not at all.
So.
It's interesting though. Sorry, you go ahead.
You first.
Our property is off-grid, fully off-grid, no available electricity to connect to. And we find the off-grid thing pretty dreamy as well. But in regards to starting a build, we have to have all of our solar kind of set up and ready to go to make all this happen because we don't have any electricity. So it's a lot more challenging than I think people think to just enter it off grid. And once we get it all set up, it'll be a big upfront investment to get all this going. But when we are then fully reliant on ourselves and not connected to the grid at all, it'll be really cool. But it's kind of proving to be a little bit challenging for sure.
No doubt.
Absolutely it is. I do have a lot of experience in small scale, like houseboats. They're essentially off grid, solar powered fridges. And especially with the winters you guys get, it's almost as cold as what we have here. And you don't get as much sun. The batteries don't do well in those kinds of colds. The battery storage problem is a real issue. So it's extremely challenging. I definitely appreciate how challenging it is to go fully solar powered, especially with winters.
The nice part though about out here is we get so much sun even throughout the winter. So if we're going to get a snowstorm, if it's a big blizzard, it may be, 3 days, but then the next day will be bluebird skies. So we get a good bit of sun, which will be really nice.
We're going to try to utilize that as much as we can with our build and everything too. Having solar heated water, solar heated spaces and everything. Yeah.
In our house, we're thinking we'll have kind of a greenhouse aspect to it where you have like windows that will like bake some adobe or like cinder block or something to that effect so that we get that like solar or thermal battery,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's a great idea. Yeah, and something you can close off in the summer when it's too much sun, but
exactly.
Yeah.
I like Michelle Lee's question in the chat for you guys. I've also been curious about that myself.
Let's find it. There was a super chat from Honey I Roam that I've been holding so that we don't skip it. Is Michelle's later?
Right. It's pretty new.
Michelle Lee.
Still
right here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then we'll come back to the super chats.
Cool.
This is so cool.
You're doing really good.
Yeah.
Out of all the sacrifices you've made to live a minimalist lifestyle, what do you two miss the most? I would say at first it was running water. I really, really missed having a shower. But I mean, we've gotten so used to that it's not a big deal anymore. But what I would say is people, our friends and family. It's kind of hard to not see people for a long, long time and just be kind of solo, super deep in the woods. But it's very exciting.
But then anytime you do see people, you're like, I want to be alone again.
Well, it depends. I'm not a very good host. I'm not a very good host because it's usually just us. So when we have friends come out, I'm like, what do we do? How do I make this nice for you? Because everything is so haggard and rough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what I miss the most. Honestly, something is a desk.
Oh.
And
chair.
Yeah, and a chair. That'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we're interestingly, we are solving that problem here soon. So I don't know if you have seen our little container that we turned into a shed, but it's like a 4x8-ish container, and then it's like 7 feet tall. But we just got another one of those, and it's over at our neighbor's house because he's working on his bus. And when they spray foam his bus, they're going to spray foam our container as well for insulation. And we're going to cut out like the whole side of it and make that into like a live edge desk, and then have windows that go down at like a 45. So we'll have it south facing. And then have that just be like a little office.
A little office.
Yeah, a little tiny office.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So when are we coming down to mill the live edge for you?
I know.
Mid-December, you said, is when.
No, they said mid-November. Yeah.
They're gonna need some time to collect their stuff.
No.
No.
I mean, there's lots of winter out here, so we can go do some winter camping videos for Alexis Outdoors.
And we have our teepee too.
With wood stove, yeah. That would be badass.
Cool.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Honey, I Roam said, we love your channels. Thanks for paving the way for tiny camper living.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Honey, I Roam.
Awesome.
And then one more from George. Is Elsa getting better on the motorcycle?
I thought you did good.
We haven't been riding it a bunch because we accidentally left the light on and killed the battery, and now it's not holding a charge, so we got to get a new battery. So anytime we want to ride it, I have to roll start it, which is
you do a good job though.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I had never done it before, and I just tried it and it worked. So
thank you, George. Let's see. This is we're using StreamYard thanks to Careena and Brandon. We kind of had a test run the other night and still getting used to it.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's really cool.
It is neat, yeah.
Oh, and Careena, you can comment. Are you just posting straight from StreamYard, responding to comments? I see you said you rock Kimberly.
I have it going on my tablet here so I can keep up with everything.
yeah, that's what I'm doing when I'm looking at my phone. I'm not just checking Instagram, believe it or not.
Yeah, me too, but just like not tuning out. I'm just
Yeah. Like, okay, I'm bored.
Thanks, Kimberly. You're awesome.
Show Mountain Grandma real quick.
Mountain Grandma.
Hey, Brian. Maybe she's talking to Brian, Outdoor Backcountry. She said meant to say Barron, but we watch Brian too. That's funny.
Watched you for years. This is our first live we've caught. Sweet. Thanks for being here. Great
choice on the dirt bike. I thought, yeah. I'll read that part. Great choice on the dirt bike. Oh, thank you.
There it is.
There it is.
Okay. I was gonna ask too, what kind of backpack or like pack do you use when you're going bushcrafting? I don't know if that's a
good question.
You're
doing really good.
Thank you. I'm trying really hard.
Your question is fire. So a couple of years ago, I got sent I always love the idea of using more traditional materials as far as the stuff I bring out, and stuff that like is canvas and leather and stuff that if it gets ripped, you can sew it together. It's, not this cheap nylon stuff that just, the nylon stuff definitely has its place, don't get me wrong. But I just really like the traditional stuff. So anyways, a couple of years ago, I got sent a backpack from Reef Knot Bags. He hand makes canvas and leather backpacks, and he's from the Netherlands, and hands down, love it. Absolutely love it. It's a great pack, and it just looks so sick. And yeah, it's totally my style. So usually I'll take that one along. And I also just got recently from Fall Raven, which is a brand that I really, really like. I love Fall Raven. They make really good quality stuff. I just got their Singy 48 backpack. Yes, that one. I love that pack. It's so awesome.
That's rad.
And Grizz looks super badass right beside it.
Yeah,
he does.
But yeah, I just got a Fall Raven backpack as well for my winter. If I do a couple days, I found the canvas bag wasn't quite big enough to do more than a simple overnighter, so I just got, and it also doesn't have a waist strap, which I needed to carry a little bit more gear for winter to stay warm and stuff. So.
We just got bags from Kafaru. Anders at Kafaru sent them, and they're so well made, and they're beefy. So they're not ultralight packs by any means, but you can put a lot of weight in it and carry them comfortably.
Nice.
And yeah, they're awesome. They just sent us they made a new fanny pack called the Rogan, after Joe Rogan, and I think it's pretty epic, but we'll have to feature that soon too.
Their packs are made for all kinds of. You could customize it to exactly what you're doing. They have all the different backpack types, but then you can most of them are modular, so you can put onto the frame whatever you want for whatever you're doing.
Right.
So it's been pretty cool.
Even so, my pack, it's the Striker. So if I'm going on a day hike, it's small enough for a day hike. And then if we're going on a multi-day backpacking trip, I can attach different pockets and stuff and expand it out to accommodate that. And then it has a meat shelf too, in case you harvest an animal, so that you can zip the pack. So the pack's like this, if this is the frame and this is the pack itself, and then the meat shelf is in between. So then the pack expands out, and then you can put your quarters or whatever inside. It's really
cool. Because that'd be the heaviest part, which you want closer to your back.
Right. And then I've been using that too we have this big, it's almost like a dry bag, but it's canvas. So that's what we put all of our camping gear in. So our TP and sleeping bags and all that kind of stuff. And then as soon as we get to camp, I can just lift that up out of my pack, and then I have my day pack still ready to go. So it's been a really cool system.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was wondering about that pack system you guys just got, because it seems really handy.
And they're made in Colorado, and with all parts from the States. So that's really nice. Cool. And they're moving up to Wyoming soon, but.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. You guys you own your own land, and you're stationing there and setting up a little bit of a homestead. Are you guys still gonna travel around a little bit to kind of live that scamp life, traveling minimalist style? Are you gonna keep doing that kind of stuff every now and then?
People have been accusing us of being maximalists now, because we have tools, which is kind of well, our house is still 10 feet long.
We got a shed and I think that's something that we want to have a kind of long podcast episode about, is that, because I feel like some people are missing us in our travel. Far fewer than I expected, though. I was really worried that people were going to be kind of upset that we weren't I don't know, that we were more stationary, but nothing has really changed. We're just not moving every 14 days. So it's allowed us to kind of hone in a lot of stuff and create routes. And I have not yet had the desire to go with the scamp anywhere, but we've never been able to leave the scamp overnight anywhere. We just never felt safe doing that. So we didn't camp at all while like these last 5 years, just because we didn't want to leave the scamp overnight. So we've been able to do a bunch of
exploring
awesome
and hiking, and really like we're almost traveling more than we did when we were traveling, because we can like leave the scamp and blast off, and we have so much cool stuff around us that yeah, we just have a ton to explore.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been really fun.
That's a good question, because I'm curious their answer too. How about fishing, you guys? What are your favorite fish to catch?
You first.
I grew up bass fishing for largemouth bass in like streams and, well, primarily lakes. So those I really enjoy catching, because it's more like, I don't know, it's so gear oriented, and I love using a bait caster because it's like an open face reel, and I'm really good at like pitching, so I can like pitch baits under docks and stuff and into like tight spots. So I really enjoy like sight fishing for largemouth. And then also, like, my actual favorite way to fish probably is jugging for catfish, where you have like you take like milk jugs and you tie long like thick lines to them, and then put catfish bait at the bottom, and then you're like in a little John boat, or we always were in like a little crappy John boat, and you would put out like 10 jugs, and then all of a sudden a jug will just like dive underwater, and it's like Jaws, and then you go like bring in your big catfish.
Wow,
that's probably my favorite way to fish.
Would you eat them, cook them and eat them?
Yeah.
Catfish
Catfish
are pretty good.
like a scummy, gnarly fish, but they're actually really delicious too. So
What about you guys?
I'd be happy to catch anything. I have caught nothing all year.
Really?
It's been really bad.
Yeah,
I haven't gone out a lot, but I've just been snake bit all year. It's been terrible. So anything I could catch would be awesome.
you guys have a lot of really neat fish up there though, right? And
Yeah.
like great fishing areas. I don't know, I'm sure like it's not just all of Canada is the same, but
it's probably just me being terrible at it. I have a student working for me, and every other day I get like a picture. He's like, "Hey, look what I caught! A full stringer every day." I'm like, "What? This is ridiculous."
What are your guys' favorite fish to catch?
I grew up. I was reading Tunis's comments. Brandon's good at catching stick trout.
Stick trout is my favorite.
We went fishing with those guys in a video, and Brandon caught the biggest catch.
I've always grown up. Yeah, thank you. I got a couple of those. I actually like pike. I feel like they've put on a really good fight, and I always grew up on this little lake on the Quebec side, and full of pike. So that's what I kind of grew up catching those. Always a good fight, and that's not too bad to eat too.
Yeah, I grew up.
Never had the opportunity to, and I'm sad about it, but someday.
I grew up fishing for walleye, which I call pickerel, but most people call walleye. And they're a lot of people say like bass fishing is pretty easy compared to walleye. They say that walleye like separates the men from the boys, and I would also say that about trout fishing as well. Trout seems to be a very, very technical kind of way to fish, but I love catching trout. I've only started trout fishing the past maybe 3 years, but before that it was pretty much walleye, which I also
walleye is the most delicious, I think.
Yep, that's my favorite fish to eat, and trout's a close second as well.
Yeah, trout's just so easy to cook on an open fire. Like you can just, and the skin's so good and everything.
Yeah, really good for you too.
Yeah.
Cool.
TP shout out to my dad. Hi, Dad. Chuck-a-doodle-doo, thank you for all the hard work you all put into your videos. The wife and I love the great contact. Thank you so much.
Could have been content, maybe.
I think it may be content. Could be, yeah.
Oh, I also want to, I hope you guys don't mind, I want to shout out my friend Christina who's in the chat.
Of course.
She said,
Where's she at?
Christina Friani. She's a little bit up.
There she is.
There's a heart. Yep, there it is. Christina's awesome, and I definitely agree with what she says. We should definitely do a big trip together at some point. That'd be sick. We should bring you guys to Canada and do a canoe trip.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
that'd
be so awesome.
That'd be awesome.
We actually can. Like, that's the beauty of having a spot for the camp, is we could do that now. Like, we could blast up there and just bring a tent or whatever.
Right.
Because I wouldn't want to tow the scamp all that way, probably, you know.
That's a long way. Yeah.
I mean,
weren't you guys?
You wouldn't need to.
You guys were originally planning to come down to Canada with the scamp before everything shut down, right?
Yeah.
We were wanting to go to Alaska with my sister. I don't know if the scamp would have come with us. Well, yeah, because we were thinking about going to Lindsay's festival that got canceled, but then 2020, and we had a great time. We just hung out in the woods all 2020, and it was really fun.
I have an exciting announcement that most people probably won't care about.
What's that?
We got new tires on the Subaru. We got BF Goodrich KO2s, and they're like super badass tires.
Nice.
And I'm really excited about that.
So we'll be able to make it up to you guys, even if there's snow.
Right.
Wicked. Let's do it.
So I've got an idea. How about we'll do like some time down there. If you guys do some time up here this summer, do like a week on the houseboat. You guys can enjoy the river and all that. Then we'll do a canoe trip, and we can do a race like we did in our last video. Boys,
that would be fair.
Boys against the girls. Boys against the girls.
Okay, I can see that. That'd be a little more, well, kind of fair.
We'll make it fun, but maybe do a little bit of the houseboat life and then a little bit of the canoe trip. We know some great spots here, scenic, and it'd be a blast. That'd be really fun.
That sounds incredible.
We'll come up with something to make it really interesting.
It would be. We'd be really close to them if the puppy thing goes through. So.
Oh yeah.
The what thing?
we may or may not have a little puppy in our future.
Yeah.
It's been in the works for quite a minute, but
didn't you mention that in a vlog recently or one of your videos?
Maybe.
I think we mentioned it somewhere.
We've only been trying to, because we haven't heard for sure if it's happening, and I don't know. Trying not to get our hopes up, but it very well could happen. And I think it's up in Michigan, so we would drive up there to get it.
So then we would be close to you guys, or relatively.
Oh, that's sick. That'd be awesome. Are you
If
like
you guys
revealing
see
what kinds?
German Shepherd. It's a working German Shepherd.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
We'll see. We'll see. It'll be great with or without.
That'd be great.
What are you gonna do? It's a big dog.
Yeah, for real. It would be a female, so smaller than a male. And I guess that because they're a working dog, they would be like they're bred to be kind of go under beds in prisons, and bred to be a little bit smaller than like a beefy, I don't know, standard like American German Shepherd. Their bloodline is from somewhere in Europe.
Okay,
So
cool.
it would be really, really, really sweet. But we will see.
Is that going to be kind of a bit of a guard dog for your area as well as a pet?
I mean, something to that effect, you know. I think just having a big dog around would be nice.
Yeah.
And camp is just like coyote bait, so
Yeah.
protect him.
My grandfather had a farm, and he always had German Shepherds, and the dog would just roam around and protect the area. And yeah. Sorry, camp. No offense, but you're bait.
Poor thing.
If you guys see questions or comments or whatever that we miss, just like fire them off.
Yeah,
and then I'll find them. And then
How do you guys do your showers in the winter? Because I saw the shower you guys built, but that's not gonna work in.
Not a sponge bath.
Yeah, I bet.
We had a shower last year that you boil water, and then you put the kind of battery pump part into the bucket of water, and then it goes up the hose and then out the faucet or the nozzle thing, and that was nice. But then you're standing in the snow as you're showering, and it's better than nothing. And
I've been using, because I just like to use the like nice shower, we have to take a battery over there and bring water over there and stuff, and just like it's sometimes doesn't work well. Like it won't stay lit, so it's just kind
If
of a
it's
pain.
windy.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I
Oh,
just,
yeah.
you know, MSR, the like camping gear company. We just
Yep.
have one of their dromedary bladders with like the little nozzle, and I just have that hung up in a tree, and that's what I use most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
And just deal with it
Nice.
being cold, and it's fine.
I use the nice shower.
And then there's a hot spring near us too, so then
Ooh.
occasionally we'll go there and shower. So
Yeah, somebody mentioned propane hot water on demand. That's
yeah,
what you guys have, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I use the same system on Houseboat for hot water. It works fantastic. They're
yeah,
inexpensive. This one's like it's kind of in a utility section of the boat, so wind doesn't affect it, and I've had great success with it over the years.
yeah. I wonder if we could. We only recently realized Ross was telling us that it's probably the wind.
Mhm.
I hadn't even really thought about it because it doesn't seem like it's enclosed, so it doesn't seem like the wind should be able to blow it out. You know?
But the wind is pretty strong
Yeah.
here, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's odd though. Does it seems like it would take a lot of wind because the one I have, it just takes batteries to like ignite. You think once that flame is going, that does seem odd that it would like that would have to be a pretty strong wind. But
I think part of it too is like the safety mechanisms, because you have to like it has one turn, like what do you call it? Like one
temperature
like
and flow.
Yeah, like for the temperature, and then one for the water pressure. And I think part of the problem is it wants a lot more water pressure than we would like to give it, because if we crank up the water pressure, it just shoots through water so quickly. So to try to get it to like stay lit and then have enough pressure is kind of like, I think it's part of the issue is we're trying to be so conservative with it, and then it wants to just like blast water. So that's kind of tough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I had the same issue before I upgraded to a stronger pump. That it would kick off if the flow dropped, like if the flow rate dropped a little bit too much or the water pressure dropped too much. And once I went to a bigger pump and I kind of drilled out the little like water saver thing, but I don't have the issue of running out of water ever. So that's a tricky one to get by.
Yeah.
Once we get our well figured out, then
there you go.
We won't have that issue.
Yeah, but that's been a thing that we've been kind of thinking about how to do or how to handle, because ideally we would like to not have to build. I just thought of something though. It's possible that we could use our little office heat and incorporate that with like a well house or whatever you call them, like a pump house.
That would be interesting. It's already so small though.
Yeah, but like we could use that heat for that somehow. But that's part of it. Like I don't really want to have to build a pump house just and like have a propane tank up there and everything to keep it warm just for the wellhead. So you can cut down or like dig down below frost line and then put what they call a pitless adapter, so it like shoots the like where you would attach a hose off to the side, but it has to be down below frost line. And it's so rocky that like the well driller was like, well, we'll just use dynamite, and I don't know about that. So we're like trying to find a way to dig down below frost line to not have to have a pump house. Or we could also like pile a bunch of like insulated material on top of it so we don't have to dig as deep. But yeah, we're just trying to figure out how to do that. And interestingly, there's not a lot of great information on YouTube about like wells and well situations and stuff. Wrangler Star has a video about installing a like analog pump, and I think for short term, just being able to like use a hand pump and not have all the complexity of keeping it warm and running power to it and everything would be nice, just so that we could fill up our water jugs and stuff. And in like the case of something breaking down, it would be nice to have an analog pump if we could fit both of them in the casing. So that's something that we might do short term, but yeah, those are all the well updates.
How much water storage do you have on your houseboats?
None.
Use the
None?
river.
So the river we have here is really clean. We've actually tested the water.
Not
Sorry, let me be more specific about that. The shower water, the toilet water, and the vanity and for washing your hands and washing your dishes is just river water, and it's very clean. Then we run it through a 2-stage filter, and that water we've tested, and it's perfect. Because basically there's no industry, there's nothing to pollute the river upstream of us. So it's very, very clean already. We just run it through a filter to take any biological stuff out, whatever, and it's perfect. So so we have no issues with that at all. So there's no storage for water at all, we used to bring water, which was a chore. And then if you're not using it all the time, if it just sits there, it gets kind of stale too, right? So that was kind of an issue. Some boats have these massive freshwater tanks, but even that is, I don't know, having water just sit in these jugs forever, if they're not being flushed out and regularly used, I think is also could be a bit of a hazard. So yeah, we've just run with a water filter system and had no issues at all after that.
So do you have a particle filter and then a charcoal filter, or
exactly.
What are the two stages?
That's exactly it. Yep. And that's it, done. And we just have a separate faucet in the kitchen that we use, and that's like drinking water, cooking water, that kind of stuff. And everything else is clean enough. You'd have no issue to wash everything, wash your hands, have a shower. No problem.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Nice.
Oops. Wrong one, but also 10 years off credit.
That's a long time.
This is
Thanks, Kim. That's a great idea.
Yeah, thumbs up.
It is really interesting.
Everybody.
Yeah, I've come across quite a few problems, things that have never been done, or at least you can't find anyone that's done them. And so you kind of do your math and a little bit of research on it, and sometimes you're just the first one to actually try it, or no one else that has ever published anything. So a lot of things we had no clue over the last 15, 20 years that we've been kind of putting these solar systems into houseboats and that kind of thing, and running full-time household electric fridges off solar power and batteries and inverters, all these systems. It's will it work? I don't know. So you just trial and error. Some things work, some things didn't, but it is very interesting to solve these problems because you might be the first one doing it.
Yeah. That's so fun though.
Yeah.
It's
really
coding and working with programming stuff. It sucks when you're working on a new technology because there's nothing you're the first one figuring out, but it's at the same time it's super fun. And this is kind of same deal, being on the cutting edge of, but it's interesting because we're almost rewinding into past solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're the first ones in the modern times to do a thing, and I'm not saying we are the first to do anything, but relatively speaking, to do a thing that was super common 100 years ago,
Yeah, it's crazy, eh?
Interesting. Yeah.
We're living in a tiny space that this is something that is not new to the human race.
Right.
But now that it's interesting that when you kind of do something new and people see it, nobody knew that it could be done before, and then they see that it's been done, and then everybody can do it.
It's kind of like in rock climbing or bouldering,
right?
Whenever you can you'll have a bunch of people that are trying to climb the same boulder problem for hours on end, right? And then one guy or one girl climbs it, and then everybody's oh my god, it's possible. And then it starts a thin train, and then everybody climbs it, But I think that same thing kind of happens at scale.
Yeah,
people realize.
Oh, sorry, that cut out. Sorry, I was just saying, hope I'm not cutting you off, but I think you guys need to give yourselves more credit because people have lived in tiny spaces for a long time, but molding the technology we have today, these systems and the some of the comforts as well, but also what you guys do, you still need power to run a laptop, to do what you guys do, to run your channel, to mold all these systems together has maybe never been done or not very common. So you run into these situations where, they didn't have to worry about that back then, So
Right.
you're kind of molding two together at the same time.
This is true.
Best to live within your means, not beyond your means, is a great motto.
Agreed. Something, a quote that I've been enjoying recently is there's, if wealth is having more than you need, then the best way to become wealthy is to need very little.
True, yeah.
And I think that was Derek Sivers riffing on an older quote, but
Like a Stoic quote, is it not?
well, it has like Stoic principles throughout, you know, but I don't know if it's.
Do you have any, you just launched or posted your series of your competition between you and Brandon on the river. Do you have any other kind of cool competition videos coming up next? That was such a fun idea.
Yeah, so it seemed like, so we came up with this while we were doing a live stream with a different channel like months ago, probably in July or so. And we're like, you know what? Let's do a canoe race where we like take the same route, but pick a route that like splits off for a certain section. Cause like, for those who don't know, when you do canoe trips around here, we normally go to places like Algonquin Park. And there's like a whole canoe route system through the entire park, which is one of the biggest parks in Canada, if not the biggest. And it's a pretty incredible thing to do, to go on these canoe trips. Cause like you guys go backpacking a lot, which we have yet to kind of dip into a little more. We'd like to do a backpacking trip. But yeah, we here in Canada, we have tons of canoe routes because all the lake systems like connect through portages. Anyways, a little background for those who don't know much about canoe trips and stuff. But anyways, Brandon and I split off. We each had our own solo canoe, which is basically a hybrid of a kayak and a regular like tandem canoe with two people in it. And so you use a kayak paddle, and we each had our own. And these canoes are pretty light. Like mine's 28 pounds or 29 pounds or something, and Brandon's was closer to like 34 pounds.
Plus the weights you hit in the front and back that I didn't know about.
Oh yeah, what's that? I didn't do that. Anyways, so we started on a route. That's actually the map of Algonquin Park right over here. And we started together, did a couple portage together, and then split off on our route. And I went one way, Brandon went the other way. And we stayed a night by ourselves and then met up the next day at a campsite further down. So the campsite from where we started our route together was 25 kilometers or 26 kilometers or something like that.
Depending on the route. Yeah, the one way was a little bit shorter than the other.
Brandon took the longer way with a few more portages on it. But anyways, yeah, it's a pretty neat idea. And we basically raced to the second night's campsite and stayed one night apart and alone in the park. And crazy concept. We had it's the most incredible experience for like a couple, I guess. And we want to kind of do a trip like that each year. And I was actually thinking we should do something in the wintertime as well.
Yeah,
like a winter trip of
try to
some
sort
sort.
this one out. We left little markers for ourselves at the portages that we would both do, so that if you didn't see a marker, you knew you were ahead, and then you'd have to put the time. And then if you were behind, you would know how far behind you were.
Yeah, because there's no cell service in the park.
So how do we communicate? So we just left little notes for each other.
Yeah,
which was kind of fun doing.
Yeah,
and
that's
very frustrating. Getting all the notes.
Are you guys familiar with Garmin with InReaches?
Yeah.
Like the Garmin InReach?
I have a Spot device, which is kind of the same idea,
Okay.
but doesn't nearly have the same amount of reach, actually. So I'm thinking of contacting Garmin and seeing if we can do a little partnership or something with them, because the Spot device just has not been reliable in where we are. And it might be more reliable for like down in the States, or like, I guess Southern Ontario would be better. But yeah.
InReach definitely isn't perfect, but it's useful. It has been useful.
Yeah, so
we would have a hard time.
Sorry, go ahead.
We would have a hard time not like saying, "Where are you? I need to know right now," kind of thing.
Right.
yeah,
There's a little bit of a drawback. I like the idea of both of us having something like that, because if you are, if you're kind of pushing yourself, there is a chance. And like for myself, I could have been easily stuck I fell in like mud right up to my waist, actually a little further than my waist. And if I didn't have the canoe on my head at the time, I don't think I was getting out of there. There was just I would have had nothing to push off of. So having something like that is definitely a great idea. We would have to make rules to see how much we can use it, other than like emergencies, of course.
Yeah,
I think if we do it again, we're definitely going to both have something reliable.
Maybe just like a I'm safe at camp
just
type of thing, but like no other information.
To keep the spirit of the challenge intact. We'll
totally.
Communication.
Yeah.
Maybe a little I love you at night kind of thing.
Oh.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Hope you'll see it tomorrow when
Hope you're
get
doing
here.
good so far behind me.
Would you guys ever go on? I've never actually seen the couples seasons of Alone, but I know Careena, you've been invited to be on Alone. Is that correct?
Yeah,
would you guys do it together, one of those couple seasons? Because you've said you wouldn't solo, but if you both were invited, would you do that?
If we didn't have kids,
that would be
yeah.
Because it could be what, a 2?
Yeah, it could be pretty.
If you do well,
I mean, if you make it that long, but yeah, I just
we'll babysit, so it'll be fine. Send them down here.
Teach them the minimalist ways.
Yeah,
we'll set them up in the teepee. They'll be great.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's a challenge in scheduling with kids. Yeah, it limits. So enjoy, all you couples that don't have kids yet. Enjoy your time.
Do those things before that.
Do as much as you can, because all of a sudden you're on hold.
Yeah. And also, if we did Alone, we'd need some way to make beer.
That's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, that'd be a
challenge. We'll
I feel like you can figure that out.
Yeah, I think we can do it. We'll figure something out. We'll find an old car.
Peach.
Yeah.
Thank you to WV Peach. I think one of my favorite parts of the bushcraft videos is pulling out a beer as you're kind of making your dinner. I feel like beer is definitely a huge part of camping that just wouldn't be the same without it. Truly.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like a staple on my channel too.
Tunis just said I'd tap out because they ran out of Canadian. Yeah, I probably would. I'd be like, I can't do this. Canadian is a beer we drink. Well, I usually drink. Yeah.
What kind of beer?
It's just like a light. I'll show you a can.
It's like a lager.
It's just like a light lager.
It's kind of like Budweiser.
Yeah, it's like a Budweiser. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. A little less than a Budweiser.
Since we haven't done overnights on our canoes or on our kayaks, are there any is there any gear suggestions or things that we may not think of that are just critical to have or you appreciate having when you're doing that?
Pretty much the same as backpacking, honestly. Yeah.
Well, thanks. That wasn't.
Well, you guys do that. Yeah, dry bags are really handy.
Full on dry bags. Really good idea.
Yeah.
Just be prepared if someone goes over that you're set. You've got another set of clothes that's going to be dry. All your gear is going to stay dry. I'd say that's the only thing I could think of at the time. Just make sure you got. We both use dry bags now, pretty much primarily, just in case.
Yeah, they're submersible too, so if they go down, everything stays dry, and they actually float because there's a little bit of.
Yeah, you'll never lose them, and your stuff's fine. So yeah, I'd say just make sure you use a good dry bag if you're going to be on the water.
Yeah.
We've had several questions about Fjallraven or Fjallraven or.
Careena, you're wearing Fjallraven. I think we both are too.
Yeah.
Why do you like their clothing?
Oh, the quality is unmatched. I for the longest time I had a hard time. I think every, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure every young person gets the cheapest thing they possibly can until they reach a certain age where it's okay, I'm done buying this shirt 10 times in a year and spending more money than if I had just spent the big bucks on a good quality shirt and then have it for years and years to come. So this is the point I hit like a couple years ago in my life, and I was like, "Okay, I'm done buying things like cheap stuff that just falls apart." I'm like, I want to, and you get criticized on YouTube all the time. Oh, you have to have Fall Raven. Why? You're spending like $300 on pants or something like that. It's like, yeah. And I've had those pants for the last 5 years and they still look brand new. So
Right.
It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Yeah. Just the quality is unmatched. Yes. Kevs, they're the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're made really ethically too, sustainably.
I mean, for the most part. But I honestly, I've kind of like had this mental debate where like, if there's something to be said for if it's not like perfectly ethically produced, but the piece of clothing lasts a decade, then does that beat something that is ethically produced that lasts like a year? You know, because it's like, if you're making something that lasts and you got to like buy 5 of them in 5 years versus something that isn't quite as ethically produced, but ecologically produced, and then it lasts the whole 5 years. I think there's like something to be considered there as to what's better.
Yeah.
You know,
just think of the transportation. How many times you go into the store and driving a car to get there? How many times are these things being shipped? I think at some point you're absolutely right. You've got to look at it overall and be like, hey, what's actually more environmentally sound here?
Right.
Yeah, and the
all
price.
That said, though, Fjall Raven is very ecologically sourced and produced and everything too. So
yeah, I have one pair of pants we got and I use them for trips, and they're awesome, especially for canoeing. And Careena waxes them for me, so water just sheds. And like, so if you're using a double blade, it's like it's raining all the time.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah. But they never get wet. Like, it just beads off. They're fantastic. I love it.
It's kind of a process to wax them, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But they last quite a while. Sweet. Yeah. And you know what? When you wax them, they're not only like they repel quite a bit of water, but they also repel the dirt. They stay clean so much longer when you wax them. And it's so cool. You just, like, wipe them off. It's Anyways, Fall Raven has a special place in my heart. The way they make their gear. So this is a merino wool shirt, which merino wool is like the best outdoor clothing you can get, as you guys know. But yeah.
Can we talk about the Denver thing, or should we wait?
I think so. I asked. I suppose we could mention it.
Yeah, might as well.
We're doing a kind of a presentation at the Fjall Raven store in Denver in January.
Cool. Very cool.
About winter camping. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
If anybody's around Denver, we'll throw more information about that once it's a little bit more official. But yeah, that'll be fun. Brandon and Careena's channel is TimberMates, and then Careena's longer or older channel is Alexis Outdoors,
which Brandon is also part of.
The TimberMates has hundreds of thousands of views, and it's only 6 months old. It's crazy. How well
like crazy.
Yeah, I think we had 500,000 views on one of our milling videos. I think that's our best video so far. But
that's crazy.
People are really interested in the milling, we find, which is really great. And making your own lumber and stuff, it's something to be said. You can just make whatever you want out of these stuff. It's really, really cool, and people love to see it. So we're really happy about that.
Yeah, it is really cool that we get to because so for those who don't know, Brandon has a tree business. He runs a tree business where we live, and he has to take down these trees that some of them are dangerous and dying and falling apart and cause problems.
Yeah, like just to mention, most of the stuff we do, like we have a lot of pines here, and that's mostly what we do. These big white pines that are
looming
40 inches in diameter, like they're literally like huge, and they're 110 feet tall, and they're 10 feet from someone's house. And you get a good storm or a good snowfall, and you get these branches falling from 100 feet going through people's roofs. They're
easily crush somebody.
They're beautiful trees.
Yeah.
So anyone that says like, oh, that's a terrible thing, that's, you got to decide what's more important, a tree that's near the end of its life cycle or the health and safety of everyone around it. And they're beautiful trees in the forest, but when this is an old town, there's a whole story why these trees have been here, but the whole town has these massive, massive trees that are just overgrowing and not safe anymore. So we take a lot of those down, and we reuse a lot of the lumber. Like everything we chip up gets reused in the area. And
wood chips go like crazy.
All the wood chips get reused, and then all the rest of it is either milled or burned for heat. So every part of it is used again, but you just can't let these things die and fall on your house when they're just massive trees here.
Yeah.
We've realized the utility of a mill being out here, because it would take us, over an hour, almost 2 hours to drive to get lumber and then come back.
Oh, yeah.
And then sourcing lumber at like all different sizes and everything is really difficult, and it's expensive and it's crappy lumber. So to be able to just cut wood to size whatever we need on the spot would be awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. Something about like cutting it to exact like your own stuff and then building with it. There's something very satisfying about that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sweet Tea and me love both channels down here in North Carolina. We so jealous. To the ladies, you both look amazing all the time. Much love.
Don't they?
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Sweet Tea.
I don't know. I thought Barron looked pretty good in the hot girl summer.
Yeah, we might have these guys had the idea of a hot girl winter, and that might be.
Yes. I think you got to do it.
I'm with it.
Some Uggs and some yoga pants.
And
maybe you could braid my hair.
Yeah, I'm excited for winter to be here. I'm about to post a video, hopefully tomorrow, about just all of our winters and how much we love winter. It's so nice we used to love it so much because in the woods, that's when people aren't camping. So we had the forest to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just love that it's a slower time. And the cold, when you have good gear like Fjallraven and other just good quality gear, it makes winter so much more doable.
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of like, I don't know if it's the same around where you live, but people complain about winter here like constantly. They hate it. It's so cold. It's this, it's that. And it's like, find something you enjoy to do in winter and get good gear for it. The difference of like turning a season that is so long into something that you can actually enjoy is like your life just gets so much better if you just learn to do something that you enjoy. And like, yeah.
When does your winter season kind of start and end on average?
I would say roughly on average beginning of December, sometime beginning of December, sometimes as early as mid-November.
And sometimes as late as January.
I kind of consider where we are in Ontario, our winter season as when we have sustained snowfall.
Mm-hmm.
When the snow stays in the ground, doesn't melt until it's gone. That's kind of how I think of it. If there's snow on the ground. So that's pretty much here. Early December on average to April, sometime in April.
Yeah.
Mid-April.
Wow.
What about you guys?
I would have thought far longer. I guess we are up at above 8,000 feet, depending on where we're at in Colorado. And we've been out here and gotten huge winter storms in September, October.
Really?
I would say that the snow, like the official winter, probably doesn't start until November, December, like you guys, and then could go through May, June. It stays cold for a long time. Long time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think also just depends on where you're at, because the wind here makes winter feel like it lasts forever.
Yeah. So we're only a couple hours away in southern Ontario where they only have snow for half that time.
Yeah.
If we travel just a couple hours south to like one of the bigger cities, there's no snow, and they have half the winter we get here.
Wild. I just think of Canada as being this winter wonderland, long winter.
And like ride moose.
Yeah, right.
Well, Ontario is so big, you can travel north. Like, what would it take? It would take you probably a 10-hour drive or something just to go from like north and south of it, just off the top of my head, maybe even longer than that. And in that spectrum, it changes like dramatically. Even here to like our kind of our nearest biggest city, Ottawa, the tree species are completely different. There's so many different areas that bring different aspects to weather and species and geography. It's just so big. We get all kinds of stuff here. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Michelle.
I know.
We asked Michelle this question this spring. She's been living in the area that we are for quite a few years now, and she said that the wind, there's a big mountain range near us, and you can kind of know when the wind for the season will stop based on how much snow is on the mountains. Once the snow is gone, then the wind will stop, which is kind of weird. Just like thermals and things, or why was that the case?
I'm not sure if they're definitely correlated, but it's a pretty good, I don't know, that tells you when winter's over. You got a P2?
We'll keep
I'm
this
curious.
going for a bit longer.
Have you guys ever been stuck in like a really good storm?
Yeah. We got hammered in, I think it was September in Oregon, and got like 2 feet in 2 days. And that was the first time it had snowed that year. I think that was 2 years ago. And yeah, we weren't really ready for it. Like, we didn't have snow tires on the car yet or anything, because yeah, just all of a sudden it snowed 2 feet. So that was gnarly. That said, like, we try to keep, especially with all the shenanigans in these last couple years, we try to keep extra food in this camp, like non-perishables and stuff. So, and we generally have a surplus of wood too, just in case. So, like, yeah, we were pretty stuck. We could get out, like we did get out with the car, but yeah, that was a lot of snow. And then there have been times that we're like snowed in, but we're ready for it, you know, like we'll know that there's a blizzard coming, and then we can't drive for a couple days, but it's all good, you know. But
Yeah.
I guess mud too has been a problem in the past. Like, we've gotten mudded in a few times where we couldn't drive for a few days just because of mud. But
Wow.
Where?
In Colorado.
Oh, like last year.
Yeah.
Last kind of like
Yeah.
end of winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
Is that where you made the trench through the mud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That puddle, like, nothing looks as big as it is in videos, and that puddle was definitely one of those instances.
No, exactly. We're on some of the porch houses we're taking. It's like literally like a 45 degree. It's worse than any staircase you would ever do. It's like just straight down and rocks, and it just doesn't give it justice.
Isn't it strange?
Yeah.
There's like no way to film things like that, like mountain biking or when we're hiking and it's a crazy grade. You can't.
Yeah,
especially driving in the car. It's like, oh my god, that was so gnarly. And then you get out and look at it with a camera, and it's like, oh, a little bump, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Does anybody in the chat have any like topics or questions you want us to dive into for a little bit?
We tend to end our live streams around like an hour and a half. So
yeah, we're
keep
getting
it
up
going for as long as there's fun questions.
Yeah.
Mari Rose, Elsa, did you say you wanted to live in a greenhouse? YouTube sent me a vlog just for you. If so, yeah, that would be quite the awesome experience to just be living in a hot greenhouse with a hot tub and
until summer.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be so nice to have a really lush, I don't know, beautiful place. But yeah, send me that vlog. Maybe send it to me on Instagram. And by the way, make sure to follow these two on Instagram. It is Alexis Outdoors and TimberMates.
Yeah.
And they're both on both channels. Holy heck. Via Truth. Happy 10th anniversary, Elsa and Barron. Waited for this opportunity to gift. Please have a date night. Yeah. Thank you for all the awesome videos. Thank you so much.
That's really sweet.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
What are we going to do?
We'll go to Canada.
Yeah, we'll have a date night.
Yeah, we're talking.
Somebody keeps asking about an alternator for the Subaru. Yeah, I don't know. The one that we got is slightly bigger than stock, just because we put more load on it and stuff. But I don't have like a specific recommendation. Sorry, I would like to, but yeah, I don't.
Our anniversary was actually in July.
Well, you didn't think of that like right off the top of your head. There was a quick pause, and that's kind of offensive. But
Oh, that's funny.
any adventures planned for this winter? Part of the reason that we got the teepee, and hi Michelle, we love you and Rod so much. We miss you guys. Part of the reason that we got the teepee with the wood stove was to ice fish. So hopefully we'll be doing that.
With you guys should come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late November they're on their way, so no problem.
What about you guys?
Yeah, we're gonna try and do a little bit more winter camping this year.
We have some really cool spots across the river that are completely unoccupied for the most part. We're just not sure how to get there in the winter. We're working that one out. Because we have a lot of crown land here, but then with that, it's pretty busy unless you get really, really far. But we know some spots that are close, but no one else is there. So we're working on maybe doing some hot tent camping, and there's mountains just across the river from us. Not like massive mountains, but still like some mountains. And so we want to do something on top with a really good view, that kind of thing. If we can get there, we're going to work at that one.
Yeah, I just wish there was an easier way to get across.
Yeah, getting across is a challenge when it's half frozen, half not.
Oh, sure.
That's the trick.
Just get a snowmobile and like get a good head of steam, and you can blast right across it.
Yeah, really.
Right after you.
Yeah.
Put like little floaties on it or something.
Yeah, we're gonna figure something out. See what we can do with that.
Are snowmobiles popular up there?
Very.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is
I'd like to
crown
get one
land
of them.
like public land, government land?
Yeah, so it's kind of like what you guys would camp on, like the BLM land or whatever.
Okay.
And but you can only stay 14 days. We can stay 21 days in a spot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Canadia's better in every way.
Canadian. Yeah.
You not.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
We'll feed you poutine and Molson Canadian beer, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. Put your butts down here, up here.
And I think you had an invite to a chocolate factory, which I don't know where that would be, but someone.
Yeah, I saw that.
Factory, if you come.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
How long has this been going on? Like an hour and a half.
Yeah, we'll probably call it soon if anybody has any last pressing questions for
That's
these
like
guys winter camping.
That's like 2 hours Canadian, right?
Yeah. We're a little slower out here. Yeah. Or would that be faster?
How do Americans get into Canada?
I
have no idea.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to work on that
Good
one.
luck with that.
We'll build a teleporter. It'll be no problem.
Sneak in.
Yeah. I think
What if you
fly,
flew? Can you fly your own plane? Is that how does that work?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I think you can. I don't know. We'll work on that.
There's like a discussion about the chocolate factory in Smiths Falls. I grew up in Smiths Falls, just so you all know. That's where I grew up, and it's no longer a chocolate factory.
Oh.
What is it now?
It's a factory.
Oh, the Hershey factory. Yeah.
It's a what factory?
It's a weed factory.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it just became legal here, like not too long, or I guess a couple years ago now. But anyways,
I mean, we
yeah.
could still tour that.
It seems like this chip issue is causing a lot of issues for a lot of different types of vehicles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have like no vehicles here. It's crazy. I don't know what it's like for you guys. All the
What
lots.
is your truck, Careena?
Oh, she's got a taco.
It's badass. You look so cool driving it.
I love my truck.
It's really cute.
Stop.
I always make fun of it. It's great for what she does, but I can't pull any of my stuff with it. So I'm like, my stuff's too heavy to pull.
V6?
It's
V6?
its own power. She
V6,
got the power. It's just too light to pull. Like,
and it's a short bed, right? Like,
yeah,
big cab.
So because it sticks. So the only ones that come in stick are the short bed.
Man, that's so dumb. I was just looking at that yesterday, actually, and
Yeah,
that sucks. Because a
Does.
manual long bed would be awesome,
it
but
would be handy. Yeah.
yeah,
You know what we're thinking for a truck?
What?
Well, we were thinking it a while ago, but then we were like, no. And now we're thinking about it again, but they're not going to be out till 2022. The Tesla Cybertrucks.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, you guys get along just great.
I want one of them. I don't like the look of the Cybertruck. I haven't seen it like actual production. So to be fair, I don't know. But one of those or the Rivian full electric trucks where you can actually like plug stuff into it would be super cool.
they're expensive though. Like the Cybertruck's not
really
cheap. It's really expensive. It's like well over 100 for a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm hoping that price comes down in time because most of my work is all really close here, and like my lift is electric as well. I could actually charge my lift off the truck, which would be cool. And so I'm like, this is cool. I could drive my lift with like an electric truck to pull my electric lift and use my electric chainsaw, and I could do all the trees without even any gas. We're getting close.
That's
it is crazy the technology, eh?
Right. And part of what's so interesting about it is that you just have a giant lithium power bank. So it's like, if we're going to buy a bunch of lithium for our house, then it would be like more economical almost to buy it with the truck. And then anytime we need a bunch of power, we got the truck there, you know?
Yeah, you just plug in as your like generator or whatever you
Right.
need. Yeah.
Right.
Really cool.
And there are charging stations like pretty close to us too. So it's actually like more viable than I would have thought. The only thing that I'm concerned with really, well, I mean, the primary thing I'm concerned with is that the if it's super cold or super hot, the truck will like run to keep itself at the batteries at the good temperature so that they don't like wear from the temperature. So it will actually like sort of like parasite its own power down some when it's just sitting right
kind of thing just to keep itself interesting.
Right.
I didn't know.
So if it gets like super cold out here, I don't know if we had like a kilowatt of power going into it, if it would use more than that throughout the day. I don't know. There's just some math to do, but I think that we could make it work for sure.
I got an idea.
What's that? Just have a big gas generator in the back.
No, more fun. We'll do like another container that you can drive it into, and we'll spray foam it so it's insulated. We'll put solar panels on the roof that will charge it, and that if you keep the temperature, you have like a garage. If you keep it moderated, it won't take nearly as much power from it. And with the solar going in, there you go. That'll be a fun project. We'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do a build.
Late November. We'll have it ready.
Yeah.
Gotta cover that.
That'd be fun. That'd be really fun to do.
Thank you, Mary Rose. I'll check on Instagram. Thank you so much.
You're so smart, Brandon. This is Brittany. Brittany's our good friend. Brittany and Tunis. They have a channel as well. We've done a video with them. We'll do some more this winter.
Thanks for a fun couple. I'll give you that $5 later.
Oh man. Hey, Elsa, do you still play? I see your mandolin back there. Do you still play it? Ukulele.
I do pull it down occasionally. I've known all the same songs for years, so I would like to kind of, I don't know, get on YouTube and try to learn how to read music, real music. I can read piano music, but mostly it's just tabs. It's just fun to have, and it looks really cool up here. But playing a mandolin and a banjo, I'd really love to learn how to play both of those, but I feel like I can't get into that unless I spend more time on the uke. So I don't know.
I know what you mean. So I was kind of in the same spot with guitar, for like years and years, I could only play the same songs and didn't really push myself. And then finally I was like, okay, I want to learn how to finger pick. And then still didn't get better for like ever. And then finally one day I was like, hey, I think I got this. So now I've kind of gone to the next level finally, but it's been like 10 years since I've been playing guitar and I'm really not that much better than when I started.
Guitar is really cool. You can do so much with guitar.
Yeah. When we get together, we'll bring it and we can jam.
Yeah, that would be so fun. I think I played for like a month when I was younger and it was just a little bit too much for me. And then the 4 strings of the uke is perfect.
I should try that.
Maybe
that's my jam.
Maybe.
She's been trying to teach me guitar. I'm just useless.
No, you're not useless. You just don't want to try.
Also useless. I can't bend my fingers like that. I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know how these guys with big soft fingers do it. I push one, I get 3. I don't understand. It seems to me they should be spaced out further.
I just linked our Discord server, and I'll link it a couple times here. If anybody has like further questions, just if you at me on Discord, I can we can geek out more. And there's a bunch of people on there. Like it's a pretty big community now. So if you want to like continue conversation later or anytime or have questions about this kind of stuff, there's a lot of awesome people there, and I pop in there near daily. So
yeah, it's been a little bit over an hour and a half, and we've got some bacon to cook.
Nice. We cooked bacon last night.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you guys are 2 hours off from us. We already had our lunch.
Yeah, we haven't had breakfast.
Yeah.
And thankfully our internet stayed up this whole time. That's unbelievable.
That's pretty awesome.
Sorry if I cut you off a couple times. It froze a little bit on me and I couldn't tell. But
yeah, I think your internet's like a little bit behind ours or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about it. You guys have done great.
Oh, we're just trying not to cut you off.
Yeah.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, so everybody make sure to go subscribe to both of their channels. TimberMates is rapidly growing, and Alexis Outdoors is just the coolest thing.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, next time we do this, we'll have to do a live stream on our channel, one of our channels.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, also that in end of November.
I mean, we're not joking.
Yeah, we're serious.
Oh, we are also serious. We've been talking about coming down to visit you guys for a long time now. So
I think we might have to go there first, just due to the rules, but that works for us.
Yeah,
because we got lots of time coming up very soon.
And then once we have our houseboat built, you guys got to come.
Yeah.
You can just live out there.
We can ride the Mississippi all the way down here. No, there are rivers that are there. What river would pass through from Canada to the States? Is there one that you could ride straight down?
Ooh.
I don't know.
You can get to the lakes. Some of them hit to the lake, the Great Lakes, and then from the Great Lakes you can get into the States.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's any big ones that go straight through.
That'd be an epic adventure.
Yeah,
I got failed geography, so I don't know.
I did it in French, so I don't remember any of it.
You definitely look it up though.
Cool. Thank you, Nick's Picks, for moderating. As always, we really appreciate you. And yeah, thank you guys for doing this with us. This has been really fun. And
thanks for setting this up, guys. I think it was a long time overdue, and with COVID and everything, it's been time to like do this for sure. So
yeah, for real.
Wait till we can do it in person.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to you all soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Later.
Bye.